Welcome back on the AM show. Time now for the news review. And this segment is always brought to you courtesy of Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. They're doing so again this morning. And here's what they're offering you. If you're a man, especially if you've hit 40 and above, do you know the state of your prostate? That's why you should make your way to Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic and get yourself screened. If you're a woman, well, every woman has the tendency of developing fibroids. The statistics show that practically all women will have some fibroids at some point. It just may not develop. Like I always say, it's like those of us who use glasses. Everybody has some eye defect, minute. It may not develop to the point where you need glasses, medicated lenses like I have. And that's why I'm proffering to you this morning, whether it's for your fertility issues or your prostate concerns, Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. Now, here's where you can locate them. Here in Accra, they're at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard. There's Kumasi Kronoma here behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's Takrady Anaji State, Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswa, and Esiamanzama. Their call lines 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. We're in the political season. Well, from the half mid-year point to the end, it's going to be butu-butu, like we say in our local parlance. But for now, the parliamentary primaries of the MPP are in the offing on the 27th day of this month. And that's why you see a lot of them coming through. This morning, we're hosting for the newspaper review the NPP's parliamentary candidate hopeful for Asante Achim North, Kwesi Kwarteng Frimpong. I didn't know about the Frimpong in this gentleman's name. But he is our guest this morning. Mr. Frimpong. Bra Frimpong. You know Bra Frimpong in P-pop. No, not Kweku Frimpong. Bra Frimpong. There's medical, and then there's Kweku Frimpong. Yes. Was it Asante Achim North? What they are saying about?
Everything is fine.
Ayo. And Happy New Year to you.
Yeah, thank you, and many happy returns. I hope you are doing good.
I could be better. I am okay, but I could be better.
It's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine.
Should I elaborate, or you want me to stop?
No, it's fine. I mean,
no, let me elaborate a bit. So,
Benjamin,
the tariffs on electricity. Charlie, the concerns I get out there. I've just noticed that nowadays when I purchase 200 CDs, I said thought before I realize one AC, one AC because where I am, honestly.
I mean,
you can't.
Benjamin, you are fortunate to afford an air conditioner.
Let me explain to you. Okay. I have a fan that I've had to give out.
I'm using a fan.
Yes, I have a fan that I've had to give out. I was using the fan, but I realized that I don't know whether you've ever experienced that thing where it's pretty powerful. No matter where you put it, you start feeling some pain around your rib area. Have you experienced that?
That's for the DBs. Those of us from the village.
It's not for some of us with allergies and the rest. It is.
Those of us from Domia Bra, we are capable of managing the situation.
I have actually had to give out the fan to someone who didn't even have anything, living in my same community. You get it. And the person didn't, and the heat. And this person was with a child. So I looked at it and said, no, I'll rather sacrifice, though I'm going to pay more. So that person actually gets to rest in some coolness, if you like. But Charlie, now that I have given that out and I am using the AC, hey, no big joke.
I didn't know that would be my welcome package.
No, when I saw you, I just said that no. I must run this by you, Charlie. Anyway, it is what it is.
I mean, it generally when it comes to tariffs and taxation and whatever issues. I mean, it's of great concern to everybody. But I mean, bottom line is, we all agree fundamentally that whichever we need to widen our tax net, widen our tax base, so that at the end of the day we are also able to not charge citizens too much, and then we are at the same time able to make sure that we get the basic things for development. So I agree with you. Generally, all over the world, nobody likes to pay taxes. I mean, within that context, particularly when there's increase. So I agree with you. It's of concern to all of us. Our bottom line is that the state needs to develop, and you and I still have to be patriotic and pay our taxes.
Well, good to have you join the conversation again. We'll get into the papers shortly, but I'd like to find out from you, Asante Achim North.
Yeah.
It's a pretty, I wouldn't say controversial constituency because it's
it's gone the way of the MPP since as long as I can remember. So it's practically a safe seat if you're in the MPP. Why target that seat? What is it that... I know there are a number of members of parliament who are no longer going back, who have opted out, and there are some who are staying on, and the rest to continue leading the MPP front in parliament. But why Asante Achim North?
I mean, obviously, they say charity begins at home. And at every point, if you have the opportunity to serve, definitely you want to serve your people. So it's more rational to begin serving from home. And I mean, if you look at it critically, I am from Bawumia, a village within the Asante Achim North district. And that's where my mother comes from, my father comes from. So if I have the opportunity to get, I mean, some level of exposure, build some few relationships and connections, add up some knowledge, and I have that opportunity to serve, why not? That should be the primary area that I should focus on, particularly when I have the opportunity to work within the Ministry of Education and understand the basic rudiments of education, and also understand that there is always a link between education and socio-economic transformation. If I want to take any initiative to use education as a medium to transform my family, my people, definitely I have to begin from my constituency. And that's even the more reason why I see that the right time for the vision is now. We have to use that connection, that marriage between education and socio-economic transformation to transform Asante Achim.
What makes you the ideal candidate, do you think? Tell us a bit about your leadership. You've been a leader all the way from school,
I mean,
till now, and then you've come to the point of speaking for the education ministry, and all that. Tell us a bit about what you represent as a person.
I think orphan at a very young age of 8, raised by paternal parents. I remember that time myself, when I was a student, my father was also a student, so definitely my grandparents have to fend for both of us. And had the opportunity to go to Konongo, then from Konongo, I moved to UDS. But I mean, clearly, those of us who knows me from Asante Achim knows that I'm from a very deprived environment, from a very deprived home, made up by just basic 2 things. One, the God factor, and of course, education. So as I speak with you in a space of, I mean, I was 31 just last December, but because of education, at a very young age of 28, I had the opportunity to speak for the Ministry of Education, the Minister for Education.
I could have been deceived to think that we were on the same level in terms of age, but I see that there's a gap.
24, I had the opportunity to also speak. I also lead the whole University Student Association of Ghana. I've also built my capacity in many areas in terms of even the education ladder. I have read health science education from UDS. Also bachelor's of law from GIMPA. I've the master's in public administration from TEC, master's in international law from Legon, postgraduate diploma in occupational health and safety from GIMPA. I have a certificate in PR from Institute of Public Relations. God willing, I hope to be called to the bar this October. So a young man from nowhere, orphaned at a very young age of 8, have the opportunity of getting educated, and now can count at least some number of certificates, which of course is a plus and adds up to my knowledge base. And the fact that based on that, with the experience that I've gotten, I feel that I really have to also invest in people using education. And I mean, also having the opportunity to work within the Ministry of Education. If you look at, for instance, if you go to Bosomtwe now, Bosomtwe constituency where my boss is from, within a space of 7 years where the MPP came to power, Bosomtwe alone has about 7 senior high schools. Within this same space, the Minister for Education, Dr. Jose Duchum, is talking about producing about 200 engineers in Bosomtwe.
Some would also say that is also a bit of bias. I know how much he's doing in the Bosomtwe constituency. There are places that also need secondary schools, senior high schools that have practically nothing. You're aware of that.
Yeah, but whichever way, it's a positive trend. Whichever way is a positive trend.
That the overconcentration may not necessarily. No, I know what is being done. It's not that I don't know. In STEM and other things, I know what he's doing for those who want to read engineering.
The point is that the point.
But I'm just averting your mind.
I'm not saying that everything is concentrated in Bosomtwe. What I'm saying is that I am using Bosomtwe as a test case. that if you look at the massive development that has been introduced in Bosomtwe, of course, which is anchored on education, we want to do the same for Asante Achem North and make sure that in a space of 8 years, in a space of 12 years, or even in a space of 4 years, that anyone has the opportunity to serve as a member of parliament. I mean, we should also be talking about producing, say, 1,000 engineers, producing, for instance, 1,000 doctors, producing 1,000 nurses and what have you. So the whole vision and the point that makes Kwesi Kwarteng unique as ideal candidate is that he is trumpeting on the cause of education as a bit of transforming the fortunes of Asante Achem, particularly in terms of the human resource base within the constituency. And I mean, if I'm allowed to end, all over the world,
right,
education has been the trump card for transformation. And so anybody who sings the chorus of education is somebody that the people will embrace. I'm sure that's why if you look at all the polls and any other research that is going on, we really have a very strong base within the constituency.
There's a trend where some of you in the ministries, agencies, departments are all trying to become parliamentarians. From the Ghana Library Authority boss to deputy this, deputy that, acting this, acting that. I'd like to find out from you, why is that trend? And some have posited profit that it is because some of you know that it's a very dicey election that you could lose, so you want to position yourselves so that whether your government stays in power or not, you still have some way of continuing the political journey, so to speak. Why do you want to go to parliament? Because I look at it honestly, a lot of parliamentarians on both sides, NDC and MPP, and sometimes I scratch my head and ask, okay, so these people, why really are they in parliament? You look at their performance, you look at how many times they are attending parliament, you look at how many times they are saying anything, you look at what contributions they make on the floor, you look at the entirety of what you would think a parliamentarian would do, you look at how they vote and everything, and you ask yourself, why do people even want to go to parliament? What is in this that excites you?
I mean, per the extension of that logic, I mean, how will you also answer a question of why a lot of people also went for the NDC nomination? Is it also a case that because they also knew they are coming to power, and for that matter, a lot of them also have to go for positions, and then maybe when the party gets into power, get ministerial appointment? But
that is shared. It is same with you in the NDP.
So whichever way, the reverse is true for any of us. I mean, so the point is that people may have their own dispositions, their own orientations, their visions why they want to serve. I can speak for myself.
Right.
I mean, I've made it clear that if you look at the background where I'm coming from, I have seen something that has really worked for me. And that is what I've currently instituted even within my place. As I speak with you, my plan has always been to produce 15 versions of Kwesi Kwarteng within the next 15 years in my family. I can speak for myself because that's the vision.
In your family?
Yes, in my family. Yes,
Okay.
I want to produce 15 versions of Kwesi Kwarteng. But I mean, I'm a believer, I'm a Christian. I feel that at every point when God gives you an opportunity, it's not necessarily for you, it's for your family, it's for the people around you, for your constituents, and it's for the entire nation. So I can make a case for myself, maybe in terms of the numbers. We should even be happy, and people like you should even be encouraging all of us that it demonstrates that our democracy is growing, people are participating in governance, people are taking...
It's going to be two ways. It's a two-pronged affair.
If
you have a lot of people going into politics, claiming to serve. I mean, let's be honest, Kwesi Kwarteng. A lot of those who have ended up in our brand of politics, in our brand of democracy, claiming they are serving, have ended up serving themselves. And that is why we are where we are, whether it's NDC or NCP. So when we ask these valid questions, it is never to say that there is nobody. I always cite Kwadwo Banredu.
Yeah.
Fine gentleman. We saw him in action. We saw a lot of what he did. He's one person that I'll always be able to go to and say, this gentleman, this and that. Kwadwo Banredu attended an event where someone had just come and was hounding the young lady who was writing names because the young lady hadn't added honorable when starting with his name. Kwadwo Banredu came and she was beginning to write honorable. He was like, well, what is this? Write my name. That is the difference. It's like night and day, and you have both seeking political office. And I think, if I may, those who are seeking it for whatever reasons, being more. So if you'll allow me. If you look at the deliverables of our democracy, especially parliament and the way voting is done, I can cite so many things, e-levy, this, that, and then you look at what we get as citizens, I believe I speak for the people when I say that it's not necessarily delivered. And oftentimes, go out there on the street. If I could walk you out with a camera behind us, go on the street right here, and ask people, how do you feel about leaders? Do you think they serve us or they serve themselves by and large? I'm sure you know what the answers would be. That's what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, generally, I tend to agree with you in a lot of the assertions that you made. As a people, I've always maintained that definitely we are not where we have to be, but where we used to be too, we are definitely not there. I mean, whichever way, there has been some significant improvement. And I mean, just like you rightly claimed, if you also pick cameras and go around, you may also get people testifying about great leadership from political advice. And if you look at, for instance, if you even want to use Nanado's administration as a test case, yes, we may not have gotten everything right, but definitely where we used to be too, we are definitely not there. But the point is, if you do not encourage a lot of people into leadership, how do you produce the boundaries of our time? Are you getting the point? If you don't encourage the young Davies like the Kwesi Kwarteng and the young guys coming up, how do you produce the boundaries? So it is even the more reason why you have to encourage particularly young people. I mean, if you go to Asante Achen, for instance, clearly, for the past years or so, after the demise of the Honorable late Kojo Banredu, you realize that in terms of the mileage that we have, the respect that was attached to the constituency, the dignity that was attached to our constituency, even if you look at the voter trends, you could see that it's rather decreasing, whilst ordinarily we're expected to increase. If you look at, for instance, 2020 elections, for instance, NDC was able to increase in vote for almost 4,000 votes difference. Today, we are talking about an independent candidate who has also declared his intention to come. So for us within the MPP, it is a very crucial time to say that, yes, we have to restore to the days of the Honorable Kojo Banredu, get the unity that we deserve, get the development that we deserve, get the trust and confidence that we deserve, and even save the party. So yes, I mean, largely, you have to look at it from the wider perspective that bottom line is that leadership has to occasion development. But for us in the MPP, it's also an opportunity to save our seats, at the same time making sure that we restore the dignity that we had during the Banredu's time in the constituency. And I mean, hold and behold, believe you me, by 2025, we are going to get a new version of Banredu from Asante Achen.
All right, so saith Kwesi Kwarteng Frimpong. We'll get back to your political ambitions, but let's get into the papers now and take a look at what they have to share with us. The Daily Guide is where I'll start. Akufo-Addo on top of corruption fight. That's according to Freddie Wasimeu Blay. I actually saw something. I actually shared it. Let me see whether I can get to it. Something he said that I found rather curious. But other headlines, and this was on myjoyonline.com yesterday, so I'll just find it later and share. But I invested over 1.4 million Ghana cedis in men's gold. That's according to a witness. Bawumia will erode NDC's northern foothold. That's the claim there. Cozy in record donation to kids. There's also bedbug spray kills 3 siblings at Aswase. This was so. It is so pathetic when I read the story.
It's sad.
Then we need to focus. Ofori says so. Richard Ofori says that. Yes, I found the story. I'll get to it when I need to. Fan attacks Stars coach. We know what happened, and he was handed over to the Ivorian police. We lacked concentration. Jordan Ayew says. Xavi begs after Real thrashing, and that is after Barcelona. Our very own Patrick Otulate Gomez's Barcelona were humped, thumped, thrashed, humiliated, basically disintegrated at the hands of Real Madrid, with Vinicius Jr. bagging 3 goals and doing the shoe, and of course another goal added there. Sad one for Barcelona in Saudi Arabia. And so that is that. I'll start with the story about the Asawase bedbug spray. 3 siblings have been reported dead after spending a night in their grandmother's house at Asawase in Kumasi in the Ashanti region. The 3, including their grandmother, reportedly inhaled chemicals from an insecticide intended to rid their room.
of bed bugs while they slept. Police reports disclosed that the deceased lived with their mother at Pakoso, a community in the Asokore-Mampo municipality. The reports indicated that on December 28, 2023, they took advantage of the festive season to visit their grandmother at Asumwase. An uncle of the children, identified as Anthony France, reportedly used an insecticide to spray a room in which the siblings were supposed to spend the night to kill bed bugs and other insects. Unfortunately, the three children and their 66-year-old mother, a grandmother named Ekia Jabena, inhaled the poisonous chemicals throughout the night, thereby making them very weak and unresponsive the next morning. The four victims were then rushed to the Manshia Government Hospital for medical attention. It goes on, but sad, really sad. And I've always said that, especially for those who use these concoctions, chemicals that sometimes are fashioned here without any, some of them, you look on them, you may see FDA, this and that. I always have my suspicions. Some of them smell too strong. They have, and mind you, things that can kill some insects, and especially rats, can easily kill human beings. That's why a lot of these scientific testing is conducted on mice. But this, when I heard it yesterday, it just broke my heart.
It's very unfortunate. Yesterday too, I saw it on social media, and a friend posted these 3 cases, and I inquired, and it was very unfortunate. First of all, my condolences to the family, but I feel there is no measure of compensation of even words that can actually even calm them down. But the point is that it all boils down to caution, and we all having to be careful when we have to use some of these things, because I don't know. A lot of these things have inscriptions written on. But even my concern has to do with those that has been written in sometimes Chinese languages that we do not understand.
That is actually against the law.
Yeah, that's actually against.
It must be in a language where the people who are residents can actually read.
Yes.
And definitely everything that is of concern should be there so that the people know what they're doing.
But
but it's a failure again of the system, slippages that we allow.
Exactly. But of course, in terms of this particular case, we do not have the full facts, so we are unable to speculate. But point is that is very unfortunate. If you go and spend Christmas and starting the year on such a bad note is something that nobody would ever want to wish for the family. So yes, once again, my condolences to the family. Yeah,
but you tell yourself, okay, so education-wise, how do we educate people on the use of these things? Look, we're talking about this, aphrodisiacs.
Yeah.
You see them selling them in the hot sun. Some of them, there are things that, medications and other things, you shouldn't even be. There are certain temperatures. You see people selling all kinds of concoctions. People are buying them. I remember at the Takrabe, is it the regional hospital or something? I remember I had a relative who had an ailment and I was there. Look, I saw a gentleman. I've never seen anything like this in my entire life. You see how parched land, how when there's famine, sometimes you see land and it has cracked like that.
Drought, severe one.
Drought.
Yeah.
This person's skin was basically like that from head to toe. And there was pus coming out, so cracks all over. Do you know what had happened? Apparently the person was down with some sort of fever. This person, they had taken him to this local whatever. They had given him a herbal remedy. I think the person reacted to it, whether allergy or something, from inside out. That young man, he wasn't up to 20, died. I'm talking of 2009. I still remember, and the stench and I just felt for the boy. But what can you do? Once you've ingested it, and all these things are still happening.
Yeah, for instance, I schooled in Tamale. And if you look at Tamale, for instance, if you get the data from the Tamale Teaching Hospital, one of the leading causes of death is kidney failure. And it's because a lot of the local folks practicing these herbal medicines. I'm not against the use of herbal medicine, but particularly when you have it unregulated in terms of the dosage and what have you. Even me, it happened to me before. I recall somebody recommended a herbal medicine to me. And when you look at the herbal medicine, clearly you could see that they've actually combined some unreasonable dosages of even these orthodox medicines and put them there. So you take them, you get the effect within a very short time. But of course, in terms of the body's metabolism to be able to even clear it from the system, then it's
damaging your kidneys, your liver, and other things.
So it's a very great concern. But like you rightly put it all boils down to education. And if you look at...
And regulation.
And regulation, yes. And regulation. But you see, the point is that if people are educated and they know what they are taking in, I mean, sometimes even the regulation will even, be a secondary issue, even though it's also quite relevant. Because at the end of the day, it's just like when you have laws to maintain order. And definitely you still get people going beyond the law. Because they are, in terms of general performance on some laws are very low. If you look at, for instance, traffic regulation is poor. If you look at this whole subject matter that we are discussing in terms of these aphrodisiac usage, these herbal medicines, these traditional medicines and what have you, is very poor. And as a country, we need to set up. And for me, Benjamin, it's not really even a subject of whether or not even government has failed or something. It has more to do with state institutions must work. And like I agree, all boils down to leadership.
Let's quickly make tracks so we can get into other papers. Bawumia will erode NDC's northern foothold. Managing Director of the Intercity STC Coaches Limited, Nana Komia, stated that the election of Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia is the best thing for the ruling MPP to hold on to power. According to him, Dr. Bawumia possesses the magic wand that the party needs to break the 8-year cycle of power alternations between the MPP and the NDC. Then we go to page 6, and Akufo-Addo on top of corruption fight. That's according to Freddie Blay. He has said the Akufo-Addo government has put in more effort than any other government to fight corruption. He also said that Ghana is not the only country grappling with corruption. We put it up on Joy News on Facebook. You should have seen the reactions. So this is akin to former President Kufuor, a man I deeply respect, saying corruption has been with us since the days of Adam. But I think this takes a different tincture. What do you make of these two stories? My reflections on the corruption bit.
Yeah.
In my estimation, from Afrobarometer, CDD, the Ghana Statistical Service, having collaborations with UN agencies, with that one was not perception, it was fact, okay, from different institutions in Ghana. Even if you want to look at the Corruption Perception Index, we don't appear to have made any
significant improvements.
I wouldn't even, not even significant, because we've actually fallen in some regard, and it's tapered off at a certain point. The OSP, if you look at how much we've spent on him, on that office, okay, and what we've reaped, I ask myself this whole bit about we are on top of corruption and we have made progress. I don't really see it. Then, since I want you to react to the Bawumia will erode NDC's northern foothold, there are also surveys that point to the fact that if you look at the trend of the MPP's voting in the northern belt of the country now, many more regions, about 5 of them, because Savannah and all that have been added. Actually, that is not the fact. The voting patterns in the northern belt of the country for the MPP have not actually increased. In some instances, they have even dwindled. How do you react to these two? Corruption, and then Bawumia will erode NDC's northern foothold.
Yeah, I mean, like you rightly indicated and quoted from our President Kufuor, he said, corruption has been with us since the ages of Adam. Of course, it's not also a license to suggest that leadership must not do anything about it. But if you look at, for instance, generally our performance on corruption as a people, broadly, I even take it that most of the initiatives that we undertake to fight corruption, granted that we've not even had the full impact, a lot of them, even symbolically, as to the fight of fighting corruption. For instance, if you look at the MPP, for instance, in terms of fighting the fight against corruption, definitely you may have to put systems that removes a lot of the human interface that really, cascade into corrupt activities. Because, for instance, whilst I'm here with you, if we have any engagement, unless it backfires, and you give me anything to influence me as a public officer, which system is to be able to detect that the two of us, we had such an engagement? So it is even the more reason why a lot of our engagements, we have to build systems that apparently stops the human interface and minimizes the human interface within our dealings. If you go to the port, I mean, you are aware of the paperless port system. If you go to DVLA, we cannot deny the fact that today, when you go to DVLA, a lot of the engagements are not through the Goro boys and the payments of monies and what have you. If you go to passport for office, for instance, a lot of the applications these days you have to pay in the bank and, of course, do a lot of even the processes online. So yes,
we're also aware of the SML situation where apparently the work is being done already. SML is supposedly doing no work, but we are spending 700 plus million Ghana.
I mean, I do not.
Since you've referenced these ones, we should also reference.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That I made a.
But you followed the story. We followed the story in total. So if you want us to go there, we can.
No, I'm saying that when it comes to that story, I do not have the full facts. I'm unable to speak to it. But I'm saying that whichever way, symbolically, if you want to fight corruption, what you do is to build systems that more or less demotivate people to engage in corruption. Okay. And within just some few minutes, I've been able to cite some of the examples in those systems that we built. If you go to advanced countries, all over the world, it is not, you see, everybody with the right environment, the right place, the right opportunity is eligible to be corrupt because we are driven by our interests.
Everywhere in the world, but people would be corrupt if you gave them the chance. Yes. Which is why in advanced democracies, they minimize it they put it such that you can't.
How do you minimize? You minimize it through the building of robust systems.
Yeah.
And I have given you instances.
We don't have those systems.
No, I have given.
We have intentionally failed to create those systems.
Today.
I put it to you that as politicians, we intentionally failed to put in place. We have the OSP.
No, I am also
and we made it. We created a system where the OSP cannot.
I mean, you elected to only view it from a certain angle or certain perspective. And I'm also suggesting to you, but if you look at our general performance on the fight against corruption, particularly when it comes to the institutions, the robust institutions that we've built as a people, to be able to demotivate people from engaging in corruption, we cannot also, look into our faces and say that we failed. Yes, we are not where we are.
So have we succeeded in the fight against corruption?
There has been progress, if you ask me.
There has?
There has been progress. But of course, we still need to do more as a people. We still need to do more as a people. That I agree.
Let's quickly look at some of the headlines from the Daily Statesman, and then we'll wrap with economy.
Very well.
And get out of here.
Very well. But I think you wanted me to give a bite on the Dr. Bawumia's.
Oh, yeah. I thought you had.
No,
No, go ahead.
Of course, if you see, the point is that.
But what I'm saying is based on facts, voting patterns from 1992 all the way to the last election. A report I read, if I could find it, I would have.
It's also because since 92, we've not had a candidate who apparently is.
So they are putting it side by side with, as a vice.
So the Bawumia's factor. No. But you don't vote for a vice president as your president.
But wasn't that part of the influence when he was selected?
It may be some of the considerations, but that is very persuasive. If you want to look at conditions precedent in terms of making decisions on the presidential candidate you have to vote for, it largely rests on the candidate, not his vice.
The person he's going against is also from the north.
No, but I'm saying that for the first time, we are presenting a candidate from the north.
Okay.
So our expectation is that
I get the point.
And of course, you see, then it moves beyond even the tribal lines or the geographical lines. Then it has now the whole conversation has now to be based on records. And we have the records to be able to.
All right. Let's quickly do the Daily Statesman. Our time is actually up. I want us to sneak in a few things, and then the Daily Statesman. Yeah. Which story? You can give us the headlines and maybe just focus on one of the stories.
Oh, my own friend and sister stories here. Akusa Menu MPP cares about child education. I'm more interested in education as a base of socio-economic transformation, and that's what I've started at my place. If you come to Asante Achim today, of course, to complement government's efforts in terms of boosting literacy through some private arrangements and private initiative. I've also been able to donate a number of books worth more than 500,000 Ghana cedis to the people of Asante Achim. So I think if you look at what Akusa Menu is in her constituency, it syncs with what I'm also doing. Now, all the leaders coming up, particularly the youth, have now come to the realization that the only bit to transform our people, to transform our societies, to transform our communities, exam called on education. And of course, that has been the trump card of this government. The basic level up to the tertiary level, access very widened in terms of quality, significantly improved. And when there is access, when there is quality, the next component has to be relevance. And the relevance has to be the impact of education on our socio-economic transformation. And we are very hopeful that as the people will get there. Because today, our gross tertiary enrollment ratio has moved from 18 to 20%. We are using the leapfrog approach, and we are hoping to get to 20% within the coming year, 40% within the coming years. And that automatically will indicate that the country is going to develop, just like all over the world, every country that has a 40% might develop.
There's a last bit I have for you, so let me just get through this. Economy Times this morning, Ghana cedi to weaken. Ghana's fiat currency, the cedi, may continue to weaken if authorities fail to clinch a deal with the external creditors aimed at restructuring some $5.4 billion in debt, which would qualify the country in securing the second tranche of the extended credit facility from the International Monetary Fund. That's the detail. Bank of Ghana authorizes 16 brokers to operate on FX market, and VAT on electricity. Ghanaians go after government amidst silent load shedding. Those are the stories. To wrap, just this, I want you to talk about Kwesi Kwarteng or Kwesi for Mpuntuo in Asante Atem North, and then free SHS, review versus improvement. What's the difference? Just those two. You can tell me about the free SHS bit quickly, then your last comments, Kwesi for Mpuntuo.
I mean, if you look at the free SHS conversation, the government position is very clear. That at every point, if you have a policy, what you need to sustain that policy is to significantly improve the policy. And that has also, you have always...
Because we are really pressed for time, do we need a review of free SHS?
I mean, it depends on what definition of review that Mr. Mahama is talking about.
No, I didn't bring in Mr. Mahama. I'm saying, do we need a review of free SHS from where you sit? I've heard members of your party say we need a review. A review can involve so many things. I'm not bringing in Mr. Mahama. Do we need a review?
No, that's why I wanted to situate it in the proper context, because within the context of review that I am aware, at every point the policy has been reviewed.
How has it been reviewed?
And of course, if you look at, how do you call it?
The IMF brought to bear something suggesting that the net was too wide when we went to the IMF. Submitting our program.
What do you mean by the net was too wide?
They said that it had to be, I've forgotten the exact wording, they said it had to be narrowed to meet specific needs, specific, not a whole mass. That's in the IMF report.
What the IMF also failed, you brought the IMF issue, what the IMF also failed is to...
It failed to say.
To also acknowledge is that, unlike, for instance, America, where you have the data to be able to know that this is the income of this parent, that is the income of this parent. In Ghana, as of now, we do not have that very concrete data. So until then, who shall
At least you know of those who have come into our studios and said that I don't need it. I can pay for it. My children don't need it. How about those people?
No, I mean,
if we wanted those statistics, are you telling me that the Ghana Statistical Service can't provide us with that data? Especially after the latest census?
I'm saying that these are isolated incidents. But you see, Benjamin,
I'm saying Ghana Statistical Service,
Benjamin, hold on.
They have data. Are you saying we can't fall on that?
I'm saying that as a country, we don't have the full complement of such data as of now, because the point is that...
So why don't you start working with what you have?
Benjamin, let me learn. For instance, if you go to Makola, for instance, you are likely to look into a Makola's woman's face and say that because she works in the market, probably she doesn't have money.
It's common knowledge that they are wealthy. It's common knowledge.
Yes. But no, it's rather common knowledge that civil servants are the people that government is able to track their salary and their income and their taxes. And for that matter,
everyone knows that Makola women.
The point I am making, what about that orange seller? You see, the point I'm making is that in a very pluralistic informal economy, it is often difficult, right, to be able to track the salaries and income of people. And so for that matter, you are unable to decide that A person qualifies for government package in terms of free SHS, or B person qualifies for it, or C person qualifies for it.
Okay, so let me put my question this way. Moving forward, 2024, getting into 2025 and all of that, do we need some review of free SHS? Do we?
What I can say is that we'll continue to improve the policy.
You'll continue to improve the policy.
Yes,
if you review, is it not meant to bring about improvement? And of course, for those of you watching, you know why I'm pinning him down on this. The former president, Mahama, has called for a review of free SHS, time without number. Some members of the MPP have called for a review. Recently, the education minister, Dr. Osei Duchum, said they didn't need a review, they needed an improvement. And people were asking him, like, 200, 300 messages. What's the difference if you review? Don't you improve? What do you review for? To make less good?
No, but
I don't know.
If you agree that the review at the end of the day will end in an improvement, then what is the point in questioning?
So why then was he questioning? He was saying the bone of contention is saying we don't need a review, we need an improvement. What's the difference?
No, but if you agree on principle that a review will lead to an improvement, then on principle the review has already been done at every point.
Please, when is the key
and the data? I'm coming. And the data speaks for itself, because if you look at, how do you call it, the WASI trends, I mean, within the past 8 years, consistently, it is only the free SHS batch that you have at least 50% of them.
I will not be tempted to go into that. That is a whole conversation for another day.
Saying that,
but point made.
I'm saying that you don't fix something that is not broken. That is a basic fact.
Oh, so free SHS, there's nothing broken about free SHS. Do you know, only yesterday, I was receiving images, in fact, from... Because you brought this up, let me go there. Because you brought this up, a gentleman who has recently sent his child into school and they can't get beds, the schools are... So he sends me, let me just send you this image. I don't want you to see the person's name, but just so you don't think I am manufacturing anything. These are beds being hauled in. Even before this, I had seen, and he says, I don't think enough is being done to aid both the secondary and universities with a surge in number of students. I had to buy a bunk bed for my daughter, and he's the second person telling me this within a space of days. When she went to SS this year, I didn't do that. If I didn't do that, she would have to put her mattress on the floor and sleep. The government needs to up its game in providing the enabling environment for both the teaching and learning atmosphere. Then he sent me that shot, how people are taking advantage of that. He says, the amenities are just not enough and the heads can't complain, because if you do, you'll be summoned to answer why. I know for a fact that one headmistress of a girls' school, I can't mention, was summoned, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to add because I don't want to go into that, because she refused to accept the number of students they wanted to give her. But in the long run, she had to succumb. You're telling me this is not a problem? So we've had a time without number. Is this a problem or not?
So you think this is occasioned by the fact that there is free component?
It's occasioned by the numbers.
No, you think because it's free?
Is it occasioned by the numbers or not? So have the numbers gone up?
Hold on. So what about if you take them Tamamoto way? There are potholes. We still pay taxes. There is no free component in the fact that we pay taxes to maintain our roads. If you go to the hospitals, there are instances where there are no beds. So are you suggesting that it's because the NHIS is not working?
It is failures in the system.
If there are failures in the system,
we could provide beds.
Let me tell you. If you are going to your house and there is a pothole, what you do is that you fix that pothole. You don't block the whole road and say that, well, under the umbrella of review. What I'm saying is that nobody's saying that we are running a perfect system. Even before free SHS, some of these challenges were there. Okay. These challenges was not occasioned, was not given birth by the free SHS. What did the free SHS do? Free SHS gave opportunity for, in terms of access, for more students to go to school. At the same time, increasing quality, which has been evident. Okay. So that there is an impact of social.
I know on education we could have a conversation all day. Mind you, though, when some of us bring this up, I've always said free SHS is a good thing, being implemented in many ways poorly, but it's a fantastic.
The minister himself has agreed that.
Kwesi from Mpuntu, that's the final point. 20 seconds. Let's go.
Yeah, Kwesi from
What Mpuntu are you bringing into Asante Achem North? 20 seconds. Let's go.
I've already indicated that the whole point boils about using education as a basis for socio-economic transformation, particularly narrowed to the level of Asante Achem. Clearly you are aware of the hula balloons within the constituencies and the fact that in terms of our outlook is not very good, and that has really derailed development activities because the resources are very few. So if you have leadership that is not really syncing with the power brokers and people that have to cause development within the constituency, definitely will lag back. Right. You just referenced Banredu. Banredu is no longer there. but we need to produce a new Bawumia, and that's why the new David Kwesi Kwarteng is coming.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Ben.
Well, that is MPP parliamentary candidate hopeful for Asante Achim North, Kwesi Kwarteng Frimpong. I only found out today that Frimpong was a part of his name. Not Kweku Frimpong, but Kwesi.
Kwesi Frimpong.
He has been our guest. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic helping us to bring you this segment. Of course, they're offering you free prostate screening, free fertility screening. And here's where you can locate them. Here in Accra at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard. Kumasi Chronomabwe here behind the Angel Educational Complex. Takrade Anaji State Tema Committee 22. Techiman Hanswa in Siamanzama. Their call lines 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. Up next, we serve you sports.